so you can come back and watch the playbacks of these classes. But welcome, thank you for joining me on this Monday morning. I'm excited to be delivering this 5-day Qigong challenge for you. So we're going to have some fun for the next 5 days, 8 till 8:20. So it's 20 minutes of movement, 20 minutes of practice. A little bit about Qigong. Qigong is very, very simple. Anybody can do it, and it can work on different levels for you. So it can work purely on a physical movement level, which is how I discovered it through a practice I was teaching called Qi running. And it was very much about the biomechanics of movement. You can then bring, which we will do, really focus on bringing breath into movement. So this is where you can start getting a little bit deeper into exploring how movement and breath and mind and body connection work together. And then if you're practicing it for years and years and years, like a lot of the Qigong masters have been doing, then it takes you to another level. You can go into the spiritual level of it. But I'm like you, I am learning as well. So I'm pretty new to Qigong. I've been teaching movement for the past 10 years, but I'm exploring as well. And every time I practice, every time I teach, I find different things. So you should get something at any level from it. The week we're going to work through a flow sequence which is called the 5-element flow sequence. 5 elements is based on nature. So Qigong was a study of how animals move in nature and how nature itself moves. And it's based on 5 elements of metal, water, wood, fire and earth. So these are elements that we'll work on, and they relate to different meridians in the body and different emotions or different focuses. I'll stop talking now because we want to get some movement practice. So find yourself a comfortable space in a standing position. Make sure you've got room around you so you can reach out to the sides, and also that you can reach out to the front and back, that you're not knocking anything over. And we'll start off with the first standing position. Now, this is a pretty normal standing position that we'll do most of our exercises in. It's a little bit of bend in the knees, so a little bit of softness in the knees. The feet are about shoulder width apart. So the reason why we're standing in this position is so that you can feel really grounded and stable and safe and connected to the ground. If we're standing close together like this, it's a little bit more challenge to balance. So you want to really feel stable, grounded, and strong through the lower body. And what you might find when we're doing some of this practice is that you're really working the lower body as well. You're really strengthening the lower body. The first thing we do is, like with any exercise program really, is just to get the body moving, just to get the body warmed up, the muscles warmed up, the blood flowing. So we'll do a little bit of activation. So first activation exercise I want you to practice is knees bent. And we're just going to work from the hips and the waist. So you're just going to start to rotate the hips and the waist. And you're just looking side to side. And then we're just going to let the arms relax and the shoulders relax. Now this movement is called knocking on the door of life. Now with any movement that we do, there's always a reason why we're doing this. So the first reason to think about is, right, we're getting the blood flowing, we're getting the spine moving. So we're rotating the spine. If you think of the spine, it's created of lots of different segments, and we need to get movement through the spine. You've got the central nervous system running through the spine. We're also tapping. If you notice, just let your arms tap across the front of the body, tapping across the belly. And also, if you just let the back hand just tap. So I'm just tapping the back hand as it swings around onto the back of the body. So you're bringing energy, if you like, or getting blood flow to the lower back and to the belly. And the area here, the back of the body, is in Qigong called the door of life. And if you think logically, we have our umbilical cord, so this area here is where life started from. So it's almost seen as a reservoir for energy, and we're just stimulating that energy. And I want you to feel really strong, stable through the legs. We have that little bit of bend in the knees just so that we don't lock out the knees. So the hips are really getting a good strength workout, but at the same time, you're nice and light and lifted through the spine. So there's a lightness, there's a liftedness, if that's a word. There's a length through the spine. The shoulders are relaxed. Shoulders are really, really just relaxed. Upper back is relaxed. And the breathing is relaxed. You're just breathing in and out through the nose. And we're then going to slow it down. So slow it down. And almost move into a slow motion version. And this movement is called water waves. So if you just imagine that you are running your hands, running your fingers through water in front of you, behind you. All of these movements, as I say, there's a reason why we're doing them, and there's an intention to the movements. That is what makes Qigong often quite different from a standard exercise program, if you like, but because we have that intention, that visualization. And there's so much research out there, there's plenty of studies out there to say that the body responds to visualization. So if you imagine that you're running your fingers through water, you can almost feel that. So you look at any sort of like elite sports athlete, they will do visualization of their race, of their performance, because the body responds as if it's going through those circumstances. So it might sound a bit woo-woo to imagine you're running your hands through water, but imagine you're running your hands through water. Feel the air, feel that lightness, feel the softness. Bring awareness behind the body as well, because we can see the front of our body, we look in the mirror, we're not often aware of what's behind the body, so just bring awareness behind the body. And then slow it down. Come up to standing. Just take a moment to balance, so your feet, now you can bring your feet about hip width apart, keep the weight through the heels, stand tall. We're going to do a little stretch exercise now. Particularly today, we're going to focus on the metal element. The metal element is focusing on breath, focusing on inspiration, focusing on energizing. And the meridian, the Chinese meridian that the breath element focuses on, or the metal element focuses on, is the long line. So it's the arm line. And I remember the first time I started doing any sort of like stretching through the arms when I was practicing these Qigong exercises, is like, oh my God, there's a real difference, because I'd been working a lot, hand on the mouse and everything. So we quite often forget about stretching through these arm lines. The other thing I used to notice when I was running is I used to see a lot of the photographs when I was running, and I had my thumb up like this and my thumb up on that right hand. And actually, if you tighten the thumb, just see what happens if you tighten both of your thumbs. Just really tighten the thumbs like that. It brings a lot of tension into the neck and into the shoulders. So we can create intention in the shoulders from the thumb or something like that. So it's little things like that, that the more you practice these exercises, the more you become aware of where you can let go, where you can relax a little bit more. And the other thing to focus on in stretching, and I was chatting to a client about this the other day, and she said, "Oh, I've been stretching till I'm blue in the face." And that's an interesting language, because again, blue in the face means I'm not breathing, I'm really stretching and I'm really pulling. The idea of stretching isn't to stretch beyond what you're capable of doing, or that till you're blue in the face. And with any of these movements, we don't want to be overdoing them. So any of these movements you can bring to what you're comfortable in doing. It's not about pushing, it's not about forcing. This is a really nice arm line stretch. You take a little bit of bend in the knees, get your palms facing forwards. It's called spreading the feathers. You have a little bit of a hinge in the hip back, gather in front of you, and then you spiral the hands, stretch out the fingers. So really fire the fingers towards the ground. Stretch out the arms, bring down the shoulders and tuck the chin slightly. So you're actually stretching the shoulders down. And then again, spiral. And then lengthen and stretch. And spiral. There's a lot of spirals in Qigong, and there's a lot of spirals as we move. We often think that our joints are hinges, but the majority of joints are not hinge joints. The majority of joints move, even if they've got a small rotational element to it. So spiral and stretch. Stretch out the thumbs, stretch out the fingers, tuck the chin, lengthen the spine. One more, spiral and stretch. And then we'll go the other way. So palms facing back. So I'll just show you from the side. Behind you, spiral, palms stretching out. So your palms are now facing the front. Palms facing back, scoop behind you, spiral and stretch. Couple more like that. Scoop behind, spiral and stretch. And again. Tuck the chin. And then rest there. That's really good for if we're in this position a lot of the time on the desk, is actually stretching out, bringing that chin back, lengthening the spine up. So we've done a little bit of activation, we've done a little bit of stretching. The activation and the stretching is all about you moving the body to clear the energy, if you like, to get rid of any stagnation, anywhere that's blocked. When we move into the flow, it's almost the other way around. When we go into a Qigong flow, you want to have that sense of the energy is moving the body. That takes a little bit of time to get used to. So don't overthink that at the minute, but just have that idea of we've physically moved our body to create the conditions for a nice flow state. And you'll know, if some of you are runners or walkers, when you get into that flow state, when you're walking, when you're breathing easy, when you're running and you're breathing easy and you're moving. So that's the idea that we want to get when we go into a flow. So the first flow, again, is focusing on energizing the body, inspiration, and we'll do what is called Buddha holds up the earth. Qigong is not religious, it's not about Buddhism or anything like that. You can be whatever religion you want to be. That's just the name of this movement. We'll show you the physical movement first. Our standing posture with the knees a little bit soft. Bring your palms facing up. Keep a little bit of roundness in the elbows. And then bring the palms so that they're facing the chest. Here's that word again. We're going to spiral. Now it's almost as if you're lifting the earth above you and you're looking up. Now have a little stretch here of that line between the thumb and the index finger, because this is the point of the long meridian on the thumb. So you're getting that little bit of stretch of the arm line. Now watch that we're not forcing, and I don't want you to have the shoulders up here and pushing, because again, I don't want you stretching till you're blue in the face. So it's keep the shoulders down. So if you were really lifting a heavy weight, you wouldn't be up here like this. You'd give a little bit. You'd give a little bit in the knees and you'd hold it up there. So holding up the earth, and then you're lowering it back down. Make sure you don't drop it. Lower it back down. Palms come back to face the chest. And then your palms are just facing up here. And we'll do that again. So do that as a nice smooth movement. Extend the spine, look up. And then come back down. Now there are two ways to intensify a movement. One is to speed it up, and the other is to slow it down. And we're slowing down the movements. Now if this feels comfortable for you, just breathe in as you hold up the earth, and breathe out as we lower it down. Now the breath is quiet, it's light, it's soft. It's always in and out through the nose when we're doing flow movements. Breathing in, breathing out. Now, if you start to feel as if you're running out of breath, or if that's a challenge for you, just breathe naturally in and out through the nose. So you don't need to breathe in a particular way. But if it works for you, you're breathing in as you're holding up the earth, as you're lifting, extending the spine, breathing out. Good. And it's a continuous movement, so there's no start or stop. You may notice just a little bit of a lull at the top and the bottom. So a little bit of lull in the breath at the top and the bottom. So we're focusing, as we're doing this movement, on breath, on energy. So breath is the first place that you take energy into the body. So as you're breathing in, you're pouring energy into the body. As you're breathing out, you're clearing any stale energy, any negative energy. And that works on a purely physiological way, physical way, or it can work also on an emotional level as well. Breathing in, breathing out. Let's do two more. Good, nice and slow. And then we'll just conclude today by a movement which we tend to put at the end of each of our sessions, pulling down the sky. So we're just pulling down the sky, bringing palms together, resting the palms on your lower abdomen, bringing the feet together. And if it's comfortable, if you feel safe, if it's comfortable for you, just closing your eyes. Just close your eyes for a moment and just let the body sway and rock naturally. So you don't have to control it in any way or try to do anything or try to stand in any particular way. Just see what happens. Quite often we're always trying and striving and controlling, but actually the body is extremely clever. So the more we can give it a little bit of space to do what it needs to do. I've found this a lot with teaching, is the more we try and teach a technique, the more it maybe doesn't work. The more we give pointers and little guidances to how maybe to move a little bit more efficiently, and then just let the body help or choose its way to move efficiently, it's a little bit more effective. And then take a breath in, step out. Give your hands a little bit of a rub, give yourself a little bit of a brush down. Arms, back of the body, inside of the legs. That's a quick 20 minutes, but it's a nice start. We've worked on the metal element there. Tomorrow we'll again do a little bit more of a warm-up, and then we'll look at the water element. And by the time we get to Friday, the idea is that we'll put the whole sequence together as well. On Thursday, we're going to start a little bit earlier. We're going to start at 7:45 if anybody wants to join at 7:45 on Thursday, because we'll have a Q&A session if anybody's got any questions. And what I'll most probably do as well on Friday is make it a little bit longer. And again, if anybody wants to stay for questions after we've finished the challenge, because I'm sure there'll be loads of questions. But thank you very much for your time and attention, everyone, this morning. It's great to see you. It's great to see a lot of new faces. So thanks for joining. And I'll see you all tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock. Take care. Cheers. Thank you. Bye all. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.